built uh, uh, two clusters of something called session border controllers, one located in Markham, Ontario, the other one in Montreal. And what we do, we have the capacity to operate or give a dial tone to about 30,000 concurrent connections. So we're like a small little boutique telecommunication company. We primarily focusing on Microsoft Teams, converting Teams to become the central communication hub for companies.
Interesting, interesting. Just digging into the Microsoft Teams aspect there. Right now we're on Google Meet.
Yes.
Is there something that Microsoft Teams has that Google Meet doesn't have that you know so much about as a rabbi, if we could say, of
Oh, wow.
telecommunications? I Talmid Hacham.
So if you look at, especially here in Canada, I don't know in other countries, I think in the US is a little bit different, but in Canada, I would say the majority of businesses are using and operating using Microsoft tools. So anything to do with Office suites, your
Yes.
Excel, your Word, your PowerPoint, the integration of Teams. Teams was, it started a long time ago with it as a tool within Microsoft itself for collaborations, and that's where it's really shined. The ability to work very similar to Google as a team on a specific spreadsheet together or a Word document. But what it does very well is becoming or integrating into the phone system. Back in the days when COVID started, Microsoft was actually behind the eight ball. Um, they at the time there was Skype for Business, so some companies were using Skype for Business as their phone system, but it was very cumbersome. If you were to deploy Skype for Business in your business, you needed to touch your firewalls. You had to touch your network. You had to have a voice VLAN and tagging your data and do the rest. When
Yes.
COVID started, if you remember, Zoom was like basically eating everybody's lunch because they had a very light protocol that didn't need much and worked everywhere. Uh, so,
The yeah, just to get deeper into that, at the ABC level, for a person who's not technical,
yeah.
what is telecommunications?
So I would say today telecommunication is, call it more collaboration. Like how do I communicate with my partners, with my employees, and with my customers as a whole, right? So more than just picking up the phone and communicating with them or sending them an SMS. Today telecommunication is basically all communications. So coming from being able to call cell phones, being able to SMS cell phones, sending faxes. Believe it or not, people still using faxes. At the same time, um, adding my customers to my Microsoft Teams so I can communicate with them in the morning, so I don't even need to talk to them, or so we can basically do our phone or our transaction a lot faster. Um, so telecommunication is the back end of all that. Is all the infrastructure that will carry your voice, your video, your SMSs, your faxes, basically throughout the world. We have
Okay.
one customer. I'll give you a big example. One customer is a hotel chain, a very big hotel chain worldwide. They operate in close to over 100 countries in the world. They used to be our customers in one of the data centers that we help administer. And COVID hit, and they had a call center in on Leslie and in Eglinton area. Nobody can come home. Nobody, sorry, nobody can come to the office. You remember there was like this lockdown period. Uh,
Yes.
so they asked. Was our first customer. Is like, hey, can you guys help us out because they had an Avaya phone system in the office, and now all their employees were at home. They couldn't come to work. Call center wouldn't work. They used to pick up all the calls worldwide in this center. So basically, overnight, we've managed to get the session border control up and running, implement Microsoft Teams, told them to send everybody home with a Microsoft laptop with a handset, and we basically operated the call center uh, remotely in Markham. Phase two, they realized this works so well. Can you actually? We'd like to hire people worldwide instead of having everybody here in Canada in a call center. Can you distribute it? So can I have an
Oh,
employee in Indonesia pick up the phone? Can I guy in Australia, in Belgium? So we basically deployed using virtual appliances on AWS, session border controllers, basically all over the world. So now we have close to 300 employees worldwide operating a virtual call center using Microsoft Teams.
your is it your company that you started 100%?
It is me and I have a partner. The two of us basically started it.
And how do you get along well with your partner? What do you guys kind of, how does it work? Are you the smart guy and he's the angry guy? Are you the good cop, he's the bad cop? Are you the one who does all the work and he pockets all the money and then tries to
Sure,
steal your wife from under you, like in the movies,
very good question. Um, so Khalil is my partner. He's the guru when it comes to telecommunication. I am more on the server side, infrastructure storage, but he's more on the networking and telecom. We complement each other like it's incredible. So when it comes to operating the technical aspect of the telecommunication, the racks worth of routers and switches, and he does that piece. I operate more on the business side. So the business development, the accounting, the handling the customers, managing our staff that does the support. So we complement each other perfectly. I worked with Khalil on projects probably now for about 20 years. We always had a side gig of helping telecommunication companies. I'm very good on the networking side, but he's much better on the telecommunication side. He used to be
Interesting.
operating, yeah. So
What about staff? Could you share? Do you have a team of 5 people in addition to the partners? Or is it
it's
10,
the
20?
two of us plus three, but at
Okay.
the same time we have contractors that we bring in for special projects.
What kind of
Uh,
contractors do you bring in? Like hardware,
so
software, telecom?
a lot of the contractors that I have are highly specialized in their fields. Like so, for example, we do a lot of IBM AS400 work.
What's that? What does that mean?
So an AS400, back in the days used to be a box, uh, black and green screen. You can see it sometime in Canadian Tire if you go and you look behind the scene in the garage area. You'll see a black and green screen uh, or if you go to Home Depot, you can see on their screens. AS400 it's a middle. Uh, if you look at a PC-based server, this is kind of like the low end server side. This is the mid range servers that are operating very large insurance companies, banking. Um, it's a very highly specialized environment, and unfortunately, the skills in that are kind of shrinking. It's a platform that's been around for probably about 40 years. It's highly specialized and needed in very specific areas.
Interesting. And for a younger man who's, let's say, 18 to 25,
Yeah.
what would you what would you say to him in today's day and age when it comes to liking tech? What would you tell such a young man today?
I was talking to a friend of mine. Now his son now is 27 years old, but when he was 20, he went to Waterloo University for computer science and into the co-op program. And at the time, all the kids in the classroom wanted to go into the gaming industry, into the more sexy type environment.
Yes,
And I
yes.
remember I was telling my friend, he's like, tell your son to go to the co-op office and tell him that he'd like to work on mainframes.
Why? Why?
And
Why? 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 Why?
so mainframes, when you work at IBM and you understand the power of the large systems, so there's a problem. Those are the systems that run the world, really. Like they run all the credit cards, the governments, the police, the TTC, the subways, the trains. The problem with them is it's a highly specialized area, not too many people, and the skills are getting old. There's quite a vacuum get generated. So I was telling my friends, send do that. Basically, the kid ended up getting a co-op 2 days later at Royal Bank. He's there right now. He's a mainframe administrator, and I would tell you
Oh,
his job is saved for life. Now, on the mainframe world, the new workloads that are coming in place these days, you can run large environments like universities with 1,700 workstations on one box. You can run. It's quite an incredible platform to operate, and it's very unique.
what about a few people I know who, to confess, they're struggling, but they're very smart. They're very good with tech. They have not as much training as a guy like yourself, or how long would it take them to get up to speed on a techie up to speed on IBM mainframes in that space?
It takes time, but it has a roadmap. It's at the end of the day, it's not a complicated technology. It's an area typically organizations who run mainframes, for example, they 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 will send you on courses, and probably in half a year, after taking a few courses, you'll be up and running and you'll be at full speed. It's not as extreme as people think. Oh, I need to learn computer science to operate this environment. At the end of the day, you are administrating batch processes, you're administrating data transfers, and the rest. It's not a brain surgery at the end
It's
of the day.
not so difficult. And you said something very interesting, Amit. You said that there's the, could we call it the sexiness of certain computer science paths, gaming, video games, the newer stuff, artificial intelligence or virtual reality. Why do you use the term sexy for these fields?
A lot of I think a lot of the kids these days are attracted to the latest and greatest. Uh, Part of the job that we do, we started last year. We started a business division for automation and AI. And what I see is almost on a daily basis, there's a new tool out there. There's a new technology out there. It's so hard to keep up with. One day it's Claude, another day is Copilot, another one is OpenAI,
Yeah.
um, and so it's hard to keep up. It's exciting. It's great technology. It is the next big thing, but I think what's missing sometimes is the business processes behind all this. Part of our business we do. I was talking about infrastructure as a service, corporate telecommunication. We do cyber recovery and automation and AI. The automation and AI is usually we go and talk to not the IT people, but more into the business unit executives of companies. So the marketing managers, the accounting managers, the business owners of different divisions. And really, our process is to first understand what is it that required from their employees, you know, to operate their task, right? And how we can automate that process. Uh,
Yes.
so it's great technology. It changed quite a bit, but the mindset is you need. You know, I hired a few young people that really never understood how a business operates, and it's a bit of a struggle. I had to basically mix them up with someone who understands business, an older person that understands accounting or understands marketing, to to sit down and analyze the process so they can translate it into an automated process.
Very interesting. I'm taking all this in, and it's mind blowing here. You have so much experience. You have so much wisdom. Is it true no one's ever interviewed you your entire life?
This is the first time. That's why I do such a horrible job at this.
No, no. You're being you. You're being you. Have you
Yeah.
not done so much that you're worthy of an interview by CNN, Fox News, CBC? What? Why not? The man who works 15 hours a day, 5 days, an 80-hour, whatever, 70-hour work week.
I still do until today. I'm like, I don't watch TV. I just do. Yeah, I work like a horse. But to
Really?
answer your question,
Or-
like, um, I'm a life learner. Like I always like new technology, new things, but I like to translate it into businesses. Understand
Why?
how
Why? Why? Why do you like to translate that as opposed to being pure technical?
you know. I always look at an opportunity as an as even as projects is how can we at the end of the day monetize it. When we started, I'll tell you, when we started the automation and AI, one of the problems we had in our telecommunication business was uh, billing at the end of the month because we have long distance calling, we have 1-800 number calling, and the rest, which took a lot of time. Like, you had to go in and download all the logs from the routers and then try to analyze it and figure out, okay, here are all the 800 numbers, put in a spreadsheet and operate it. Um, so I looked at it as an opportunity to automate. So we looked at, how can we automate this process? So uh, we learned tools like N8N and MakeNote AI, which are automation processes um, tools. And we figure out, okay, how do we dump all those information at a time? We did that, and then how we operated and generated reports. So now it takes basically about 30 seconds, something that used to take me about 2 hours. The next thing I looked at is onboarding a new customer. It used to take me quite a long time to generate, for example, my contact information in my CRM, and then generate an MNDA document, and then generated a quote, and then at the end generate a contract and responding back to the customer. So we automated that process. Now, once we did it for ourselves, we realized, you know what, maybe there's other people or other companies that would be interested in it. The majority of our customers in Sumo Networks are managed service providers. They're companies. So instead of us going and finding the end users, the accounting companies or lawyers companies, we reach out to managed service providers and we partner with them. So we basically tell them we will bring the dial tone into your customers on your behalf. So we act as their second level support. So they have the customers in place. Customer decide I want to get rid of my old phone systems. What do you guys recommend? So they recommend Microsoft Teams. We come in, we do our magic, we enable the environment, we train their technicians, and we get it going. Now, at the end of every month, we have to generate reports so they can take it to their customer and says, look, you spend X amount of time, X amount of hours, X amount of minutes on long distance at 800 number, you need to pay, right? So at the beginning, it was basically spreadsheets. and it took a long time. So now we can automate this. And then once we saw, okay, this is a great way of doing it, we looked at how they operate. We became really good friends with those managed service providers. It's like, how do you do your onboarding of your customers? It's quite a process to onboard an MSP customer. Oh, we
Yes.
need those documents and those contracts and those in place. Let us help you out. So we generate an onboarding automated process to create all those contracts and CRM updates and inventory controls. Um, at the end of every month, they do BCIO reports. So they had to pull all the information from all their tools, their antivirus tools, the network firewalls, their ticketing system, and put it in a report and present it to the customer to show them that they are doing work and why it costs so much money to operate their IT. So we automate that process for them, right? So before they would spend a week generating it
Yes.
in order to take it to their customers, now we can run it in sometime in 5 minutes. I can pull all this information, generate a beautiful report, and take it over. So what I was telling you in the
Yes.
beginning, we
Yeah.
looked at how we automate our own things and make our processes much easier, and then we take it out to when we see an opportunity and use it as a leverage to generate more business at the end of the day.
And yes, and going a bit deeper into the is the correct term MS Teams direct dial? That's the
Exactly.
how do you explain that to someone who doesn't know what that
Doesn't know what
is?
it is. Okay, great question. Um, so the majority of companies that are on Microsoft platform use Microsoft Teams for either communicating internally by typing to each other or generating or calling each other internally using the voice, internal voice capabilities, or they will generate a team invite to bring their customer in for a meeting, a video meeting like we have right now. The one thing that they cannot do is, let's say they want to invite someone that doesn't have Microsoft Teams or is in a different country, or but they have a cell phone. So you know somehow we need to tie in Microsoft Teams into the PSTN, the public switching system.
Yes.
So so we basically are the miniature Bell Canada Rogers, phone system. We
That's right.
tie in Microsoft Team. Now there's a few ways of doing it. One, you can go directly to Microsoft. You can buy voice licenses, and you can figure out how to operate it and program the system to do it. Very expensive. Another one is Microsoft have direct routing partners, so you can select from the portal the partner you like to work with and do it, or you bring your own provider, which we are basically bring your own provider. So what we do is we provide white glove services. When we do an onboarding to a customer, we'll go in, look at the existing phone system. So sometimes it's an Avaya phone system, an old Nortel system, a Cisco system, and then we try to basically convert it into Microsoft Teams, which is very easy to do.
You're
That's what.
going into the non you're like Microsoft, Microsoft, Microsoft. We're going to carve you. We're going to convert you to Microsoft. We're going to get. You're not Microsoft, Microsoft, Microsoft. You are not an Apple guy. You are not a Google guy. Why? Why a Microsoft? Microsoft, Microsoft.
I learned very early in my career. At one point, I built a database for George Brown College for managing students' records for the counseling and special needs back in the day. Right? It was highly customizable environment, which was working perfectly. And and then it became from a project and a nice small little system. My boss starts showing it off to a lot of other colleges and universities before you know it, we were rolling out my small little database to a lot of different companies, and it became my full-time job to try to troubleshoot it and create reports and customize it for their needs. Um, I realized that Microsoft, at the end of the day, was the one open and close enough system that you can kind of rely on. I don't like, um, here in Canada, I think the majority of businesses are kind of standardized on Microsoft, and that's kind of like the easiest. Any company you go, do you guys use Microsoft Teams? Yes. Actually, when you look at the adoption rate, we just generated, one of our presentation. So we follow the adoption rate of the phone systems on Microsoft. So Microsoft today is, if I'm not mistaken, one of the largest
Yes.
phone provider in the world. I think they have 36 million subscribers every day that logs in, and it jumped. If when you start looking at the adoption rate, it was at the beginning was a very niche environment, and today basically more companies are basically moving to Microsoft Teams than ever before. And what's interesting, in the last year or so, the graph used to go like this and then suddenly went like this. Uh, it's just from 2024 to 2025, they added about 12 million users. They went from 18 million to over 30 million basically in 1 year, almost doubling the subscription. So it just
Oh.
tells you that, how much inertia and how much more um, popular this platform becomes.
So interesting, so interesting. And do you like your job, your company? You're happy, or it's miserable and you want to jump off a cliff every day?
God, I absolutely love it. It's my second wife, I would say.
Oh,
It,
that's allowed according to the Rabbeinu Gershom's decree of having multiple wives went away recently. We are allowed to marry our technology companies. Baruch Hashem.
it's such an interesting, journey. Moving from, you know, having your paycheck giving to you to, your life is great. I was in a golden cage for like 24 years at IBM. My job was great. My managers loved me. The project we were doing were amazing. Um, but I always wanted to work for myself.
Why? 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 But the golden handcuffs are still gold. You go home. You can do whatever you want. Why? Why should we unshackle our golden handcuffs?
Because I always knew that there was a ceiling of where, I'm a very creative, uh, always like to think out of the box type person. And I always felt, especially when you work for a corporation, you have your red lines, you have your processes, and you had to contain and slow yourself down many, many times to kind of fit the mold, right? You couldn't go and like push the boundaries. And I always wanted to do that. And I always wanted to, um, which I thought was great, like manage people, which became my biggest, challenge, I would say.
You went back. Is it true that despite all these years of training and successes and unique challenges, you went back to school? Are you a child with your backpack and your mommy packed your lunch? What's wrong with you? We're calling the rabbis. Oh my God.
I'll tell you what, I hired a few people. I let go of a few people in the last few years, in the last 4 years. Um, I realized that I really have no idea what I was doing. I was like anywhere from the beginning, which would be a job interview, interviewing a person. I basically trusted everybody who walked through the door.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I didn't have the processes in place. I didn't have the right documentation, the right. So I always knew that there's something missing in my knowledge. Um, so one way was go and hire an HR or a fractional HR. I like to know what I'm doing. So even if I was at this point, I basically went back to Schulich Academy to learn a little bit about HR, understanding, in a very high level, what does HR, why do I need HR in my company? And I think what I learned in, what was it, about 12 weeks course was mind-boggling. Uh, I feel like I'm way ahead of where I was before taking this course, right? I still know that I need a lot of help, but now at least I'm a lot more intelligent in asking the right questions. Or when I do my job interviews, I have a process now that I can follow. So it's not the first person who walks through the door, you got a job, right?
You learned, you're learning now after so many years of working in corporate, you're learning the ABCs of like running an HR department or making personnel decisions and human capital, and
Exactly.
you were doing it without the textbook in front of you and the experts teaching you, and now you have a good taste of training. People are people. They're complicated. They are not mainframes. They are not IBM machines. They are not Microsoft tools. I interesting, and you love working. You still work 70
I
hours a
do.
week. You can't. You're at working right now,
I
so to
am
speak.
at work right now. I always, for me, my work is my hobby. It's more than, I don't do it for the paycheck, obviously not. I'm probably getting paid about $5 an hour if I calculate, how much we make compared to the number of hours. But I just, for me, it's a hobby, really. Like it's, especially running your own business it's like starting from something so small. When I started Sumo Networks about 3 months into starting this business, I was like, oh my God, I can make this work. I think I'm going to go back to work. I started to freak out.
Why? Why?
Uh,
The freak out, the 90-day freak out. Yes, everyone has this. I have this. I
I
had this.
couldn't, I couldn't get it to work. I thought I had the right formula and the right knowledge, and I'll be an asset for a lot of different companies, but I didn't know what to do. Like how to the marketing and who to call and how to get it started and the rest. But I was like, my entire about 3 months into it. I started in October and it was the end of January. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not making any. I didn't make $1. I think I started with like $15,000 as an investment to start this business.
Yes.
And I actually went to Colombia for a vacation with a bunch of friends of mine to go surfing, and I got a phone call from a data center in Markham, and they asked me, "Hey, we got your name from this guy at IBM. He told me that we have a situation. Our customers have an AS400. It's
Yes.
failed. Nobody knows how to get up and running. Can you help?" That's how my business started.
It
So
started when you were in Colombia, which were you born in Colombia?
no, I'm Israeli.
You're Israeli.
I'm an avid surfer. I love surfing and kiteboarding and all that sport. And I was so fed up. I'm like, okay, I need to go on a vacation. I basically told my wife I need to go away. So I basically jumped on a plane and joined my friends. They were in Colombia, and yeah. So it was the weirdest thing. So I got a customer on the phone, explained to me the situation. He explained to me what's going on. I basically told him, hold on, let me call someone. I called a friend of mine who works for IBM. I asked him if he can do me a favor to go and check it out. He went in, he called me back. He said, here's the situation. You need a RAID adapter. You need to get it fixed. Uh, it was an older machine. Managed to find it, on the phone in Montreal. Called the guy, told him it will cost you $2,000 to replace this part plus work, blah, blah, blah. Let's do it. Ordered the part. My friend Dave went in and replaced the part, got the system up and running. 600 employees couldn't work for about 5 days until we got the system up and running. So it was
You are
quite
like
significant.
You're
quite a
like
failure.
911. Would you say that the services you provide are closer to like 911 emergency services? These services cannot go down even for a second. These
Exactly.
are the, although it may be difficult for a person to understand, you're talking about like the infrastructure in the telecommunications. You cannot, you can't, if a person swipes their credit card to buy something or to pay for something and it
Right.
doesn't work, that's not kosher. It's not,
No,
that
that
needs to work. That needs
was
to
a
work.
big, big problem. This particular company had government contracts. They
Mm.
were on every hour that they did not work cost them. I can't even imagine
Oh
how
yeah.
much. But here's the situation: we got the system up and running for, I think at the end it cost them like $7,500. Nothing to call home about. But the director that I was communicating with basically told me, "You need to come when you come back home. You need to come to my office." So I came to his office, on a Monday, and he told me, "Listen, thank you for your help. This is amazing. We're back in business, but I need a brand new system and I need a disaster recovery for it in another data center." And I was like, "You're talking $250,000. I don't have that kind of money." He said, "I'm going to write you a check right now." And basically wrote a check, and I took it to the bank and it went through. And I went and bought the equipment, got it up and running. My entire salary was basically, you know, paid for just by one transaction.
This is so interesting. This
It
is
was
real life.
either
Is
I'm
when you
going and
save a
updating my
company.
resume or
Yeah.
so that's how we started Sumo Networks. And after that, it was just one after another. And Baruch Hashem, it's quite a successful
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This Amit, this has been incredible, and I perhaps we could have another session where we could dig into some other areas of your expertise. And amazing, congratulations on going back to school to
Thank you.
upgrade your experiences with HR and understanding that layer of business. Always good. Another certification. Different part of the brain, different part of the heart.
Well,
Very complicated stuff. And this was a pleasure. I thanks for
thank you.
joining us on this beautiful episode.
Thank you
Amazing.
for your time, Mike. Pleasure seeing you and talking to you. And we'll see
Amazing.
you soon.